We are at the highest concentration in the top 10 names of an index in the history of the market. In order to go back and see somewhat of some kind of semblance of what the concentration is today versus historical, you'd have to go back all the way to 1929. And even then, the concentration of the top 10 names was nowhere near where it is today. Hello and welcome to today's recap and look ahead. So we're going to do a small recap, but we're really going to be looking ahead more. We got a problem. Problem we have is that right now, Mag 7, FANG, is completely taken over the market. What do I mean by that? The concentration levels are so high that it's setting us up for a disaster. However, here's the challenge. The indices themselves are not showing. It's very much beneath the surface. That's the problem. You can't really tell at face value if there's something wrong. What do I mean by that? Well, when you look at the S&P, which we have up over here, the S&P looks like it's moving on. Let's just get right into some of these names that are driving us and what potentially could happen. We're not going to really focus so much on the indices as opposed to warnings this time. Now, not warnings that the market's going to crash, because the market's not going to crash, but the concentration levels are so high that we could run into some issues. We'll discuss those issues towards the back end. Okay, let's just get right into it. So one of the names that's driving us, obviously, is our good friend, NVIDIA. Okay. NVIDIA is right now the highest weight in the S&P. Okay. And I don't even want to say it's parabolic because it's not parabolic. It's just, it's going, and it's driving the index. Okay. The next one we have up there, Microsoft. Now you could say that Microsoft on earnings basically came in. However, in real reality, the stock is fine. The stock is completely fine. But again, it's in the top two holdings of the S&P. The one that had a big day Friday was none other than Apple. Apple had a huge day on Friday. It was like a train. It just would not give up. Okay. So now Apple has had an igniting bar. When you have an igniting bar, under no circumstances should you be looking to short. By definition, an igniting bar means ignition. It's igniting a move. Now you could say we've had 3 days. If you bought it here on day one and you had day two, day three, you're trimming and trailing. You're not initiating new positions over here when the market had a massive day. Apple was up just by itself on Friday, something like 4.25%. That's no earnings. That's just a huge dip. Okay. So it's going to need a couple of days to digest. But again, it's in the top three holdings of the S&P. Okay. The top three holdings by weight right now make up north of probably close to around 30-something%, just the top three names. I think the top 10 names are approximately 40 to 50% by weight of the index, which is insane, literally insane. Okay. But we'll get to that in a minute. Okay. So Apple had a big day. Google looking great. A lot of these tech names are just looking amazing. Tech is in the top 10 of the S&P. It's driving the index. Let's look at Meta. Meta, we talked about on earnings that could take these out. It did. It held. Now it's just waiting for the 8-day to catch up and probably keep it going based off of the way the chart patterns looks like right now. Look at Broadcom. Look at this, just straight up. They're not parabolic, but they are moving with authority to the upside. Okay. Let's look at Netflix quickly. Netflix, interestingly enough, is actually looking really good. It had a nice little rounded bottom. Now it's recovering. The interesting thing about Netflix is that there was news over the weekend that Disney is trying to swallow up Hulu. Disney is trying to become a player in the space. Now, Hulu obviously existed well before Disney Plus existed. Obviously, Disney owns them. So they're trying to swallow them in and make Disney Plus more advantageous for the consumer. So there's a little bit of a push there. Obviously, Paramount bought Skydance. So in terms of a play for Netflix to buy, it may cost them money, but there are a few names out there that might be interesting to them. They are making a push into live sports. So that could ignite it and kind of get it to find its footing. I'm not going to disclose who I think Netflix is going to buy because I think right now it's premature, but I definitely believe that there's an acquisition coming. When, I have no clue, but I think they are going to buy somebody. On top of making a push into live sports, I think that they're going to end up buying somebody. And I think who they're going to buy might surprise you, but it's in the couple of names that I'm thinking about that they actually may buy. Okay. Netflix is still looking good. Look out at CrowdStrike. That had a little bit of a rough day on Friday. Still looks fine, a little bit bent and broken. Probably wants to get to that 200 day. It's not really driving the market so much. ServiceNow, totally broken. Again, not driving. Let's look at Palantir. Look at that. It's not in the top 10 holdings. Mark my words, it probably will be there. I think eventually either ServiceNow or CrowdStrike are going to be replaced by Palantir. I think it's coming. When it usually happens, they usually make the announcement closer to quarter end. It may happen in Q3, it may happen in Q4, but I think they're definitely going to put this into the NYSE FANG and put it part of the FANG index. Let's go to the NYSE FANG index for a second. Okay. NYSE FANG index, not really telling you anything, just like the other indices. Let's just look at NDX quickly. Again, not really telling anything. Yeah, we're making new all-time highs. Obviously, metals were very in place, so the miners were doing well last week. Gold, obviously, the GDX look nice. The GDXJ is looking nice. Okay, let's just go back. Let's just go back to the S&P for a second. Okay, what's the problem here with the concentration the way it is? The problem is if you're a fund, you have a mandate that tells you what your concentration can be in any single stock. If you own NVIDIA, let's just say you own NVIDIA, okay? NVIDIA's been going straight up. This creates you problems where you're going to have to sell some of your position, not because you want to, but because you have to get that mandate back in line with the concentration. So if your concentration can only be, let's just say for argument's sake, 8% in any stock, that means based off of from a market capitalization perspective, that means if you own NVIDIA up here, it could be 12%, 14%, depending on how you own it. You may have to start selling it because you're a forced seller. Now, that doesn't mean that the market's going to come crashing down. It doesn't mean all of a sudden just go all out, balls to the wall short. That's not what it means. It just means we could get some vacillating moves that will be shocking at times because of the fact that people need to reposition. Okay. The other issue that you have is that it's the last 3 weeks of August. Historically, in the stock market, volatility starts to dry up a little bit. Volumes are significantly lower. Most people aren't around. After Labor Day, you do have certain funds that are getting ready to close their fiscal year. So there will be some tax selling. There will be some other end of year things that need to be done, whether it be window dressing or whatever it is. So it's just something to be aware of. More importantly, I think the one thing you need to carry forward, and again, I'm not saying short. That's not what I'm saying. The market wants to go up, just go with it. What I am saying, though, is the concentration levels are so high right now. You have to go back all the way to 1929 to see this type of concentration in stocks that are driving the index. Okay. Because of this reason, there could be some rocky roading ahead. It's very possible we could see some rocky roads ahead. How heavy does it go? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But I was trying to figure out where a retracement would put us. Could we get a 10 to 15% retracement? Possibly. We could get a 10% retracement. I mean, 15% might be a little bit of a stretch. There was a hellacious bond offering this past week in the 30-year, which the market kind of shrugged off on Thursday. We really have to be paying attention now to what's going on. Know what you own, know why you own it, make sure that you don't fight. Now, everybody's going to say dips can be bought. Yeah, dips can be bought, depending on how much we retrace. Right now, I definitely think that we've definitely started a new leg of a new bull market, but at the same time, there could be some shaking the tree type of action. Because again, the concentrations are so huge that you really have to be cognizant of what you have and what you don't have. If you're a long-term investor, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. If you're an intraday trader, you got to be careful. If you're a 2 to 3 day or type of trader, holds for 2, 3 days, 4, 5 days, whatever, you definitely have to be careful. If you're an indice trader, we're going to discuss this, I think, later this week. There's a lot of noise in the indices right now. So you really have to be careful. Indice trading is probably not the best place to be right now, specifically because volatility is low and there's so much noise intraday that you're probably not making money. And even if you are, you probably have a very strong sense that, you're doing better than really you should be doing. And that's only because of the fact that you're playing the noise. And then once things get clean and volatility picks up and volume picks up, a lot of what you were doing may not work it. So just be aware of it. This is what summertime does. It can kind of lull you into sleep and get you overly confident. And then the next thing, you get punched in the face and then you're like, what just happened? So just be aware of it. Again, so far we're going up. It seems like there's not a care in the world until we have to. There could be something, I don't know what. Obviously, it could be some kind of black swan. I don't think we're going to come crashing down. That's not what I see in the cards. However, I would be paying attention to bond offerings. This week, we're going to get CPI and PPI. They may move the needle. Right now, the 2-year Treasury market is forecasting that September, the Fed is going to cut. We'll see how that plays out. We'll also have to see what the September jobs picture looks like. That's another discussion all in of itself, where the data that's coming out right now, can you even trust it? Is it even legit? Which is also causing some challenges. But we'll see what happens. We'll play it by ear. Best of luck, and I'll see you next time.